Some stories in Scripture transcend time, culture, and even religion. They become windows into divine realities that still speak to us today. The account of three young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were cast into a fiery furnace but miraculously survived, is one of those stories. Even more mysterious is the sudden appearance of a fourth man walking in the fire with them, one described as looking like a son of the gods. This isn't merely a tale of divine rescue. It's a confrontation between personal faith and imperial power, between loyalty to the unseen God and the visible threat of a tyrant. The setting is dramatic: a king enraged, a golden statue looming nearly 90 feet tall, a furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. Everything was designed to intimidate, to break the will of any who dared oppose the system. Yet in the center of that stage, something wholly unexpected happened. God didn't just intervene, he stepped into the fire. Why did these three men defy the king's command? What did they know that others didn't? And who exactly was the mysterious fourth man? This isn't just ancient history. It's a mirror held up to every generation that has ever faced pressure to conform, bow, and remain silent. Because sometimes, it's only in the fire that we see most clearly who is standing with us. To grasp the courage of these three men, we must start with their context. Jerusalem had fallen. The temple was destroyed. Israel's brightest youths had been taken into Babylonian exile. Among them were Daniel, Hananiah, Shadrach, Mishael, Meshach, and Azariah, Abednego. Their Hebrew names, each pointing to the God of Israel, were replaced with Babylonian ones, aligning them with foreign gods. They were taught the language, culture, and religion of a pagan empire, Daniel 1 verses 3-7. They were groomed to forget who they were. And yet, they didn't. Though they rose to high positions in the royal court, Daniel 2 verse 49, they did not blend in. Their outer status masked an inner allegiance that Babylon could not touch. This loyalty would soon be tested when King Nebuchadnezzar constructed a towering image of gold, 60 cubits high, 6 cubits wide, and demanded all peoples, nations, and languages to bow before it at the sound of music, Daniel 3 verses 4-5. The statue wasn't merely religious. It was political. It wasn't just about worshipping an idol, it was about worshipping the system, the empire, the man who claimed control over life and death. Yet when the music played, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not bow. They didn't protest, didn't disrupt the ceremony. They simply remained standing, silent, but thunderously defiant. Their refusal was not fueled by rebellion, but by reverence. They would rather lose status, power, or even their lives than betray the command of the living God. In a culture that bends truth for comfort, their posture raises a piercing question: who, or what, are we bowing to today? When their refusal was reported to the king, Nebuchadnezzar was enraged. His pride had been wounded, not just by rebels, but by men he had elevated. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than normal, Daniel 3 verse 19, not for necessity, but for spectacle. It was intimidation at its highest level: defy me, and this is what awaits you. And yet, the response of the three men remains one of the most extraordinary declarations of faith in all of Scripture. Standing before the most powerful ruler of their time, they say, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us, but even if he does not, we want you to know, we will not serve your gods or worship the image you have set up." Daniel 3 verses 17-18. This is faith in its purest form, not transactional, not based on expected outcomes, but grounded in trust. They knew God could save them. But even if he chose not to, they would still not bow. No bargains. No conditions. Their faith didn't require a miracle to remain intact. In a world where faith is often used to get results, healing, success, provision, these men show us a deeper way. Faith is not about manipulating God, it's about honoring him regardless. They weren't daring the fire to prove something. They were proving that real faith doesn't fear the fire. And perhaps, that's when the fire begins to lose its power. The three men were bound and thrown into the furnace. The heat was so intense it killed the guards who carried out the execution, Daniel 3 verse 22. But then, something utterly unexpected happened. The king, peering into the flames, stood up in shock and exclaimed, "Didn't we throw 3 men in the fire? Look! I see 4 men walking around, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Daniel 3 verses 24 to 25. This wasn't just a miraculous rescue, it was a visitation. The 4th man didn't stand outside the furnace waving them out. He was inside the fire with them. Christian tradition holds this as a Christophany, a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ himself. Whether a divine angel or the Son of God, the message is the same: God didn't save them from the fire, he joined them in it. This radically shifts our understanding of suffering. God is not just above our pain, he is present within it. The fire still burned. The heat was real. But in the center of it, there was fellowship, not fear. Sanctuary, not screams. How many of us have prayed to be rescued from the flames, never realizing that perhaps the greater miracle is that God enters them with us? He doesn't always change the circumstance, but he always changes who we are in the midst of it. When the king called them out, the crowd watched in awe as the 3 men emerged. They were not only alive, they were completely untouched. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair of their head singed, their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Daniel 3 verse 27. This wasn't survival. It was total victory. And the impact was immediate. The very king who had condemned them now declared, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, no other God can save in this way." Daniel 3 verses 28 to 29. This was not just about personal protection, it was public proclamation. A pagan empire had just witnessed the unmatched power of Israel's God. And all because 3 men had chosen obedience over safety. The most remarkable part: they didn't seek recognition. They didn't campaign, complain, or demand justice. They simply obeyed, and let their obedience speak for itself. In our lives, some of us walk through fires of our own. Rejection, slander, loss, betrayal. But if we come out of it without the bitterness, without the smell of smoke, if we come out more whole, more faithful, then we, too, become living testimonies. Sometimes, the greatest miracle is not being spared from the fire, but coming through it without losing who you are. The story ends quietly. The 3 men return to their positions. No fanfare, no monuments. But the echo of their choice still resounds. Because every generation will face its own golden image. It may not be a statue 90 feet tall, but it will be the pressure to bow, to fear man, to blend in, to stay silent. And so the question remains, when the music plays, will we bow, or will we stand? In today's culture, there are many idols shaped by fame, ideology, money, and compromise. And often, we're told that bowing is harmless. But it's in those small, quiet moments, those silent decisions, that our allegiance is revealed. Perhaps most powerfully, this story isn't about the fire. It's about the 4th man. He's still showing up today. Maybe not always visibly, but always faithfully. He may not pull you out right away, but he will always step in. And once you've walked with him in the fire, you'll never be the same. So we ask ourselves, not what would I do if I were in their place? But what am I doing right now? When fear rises, when truth costs something, when the crowd bows, will I stand? And if I do, will I trust that I will not stand alone?